Welcome back to Ruck and Roll, and man, am I excited after seeing the Springbok squad. They've just announced their starting XV lineup against the All Blacks, and for me personally, considering the current squad and what they have at hand, I like what they're doing. That is my opinion. I think it's going to be, what I like about what the Springboks are doing is they're playing open cards. They're like, here we are. Monday, we're already calling our squad. They know win or lose the game. They want to try these combinations. So they don't really care if the All Blacks see who they're playing, because they're going to play those guys anyway, because they want to play them to get the last little bit of combinations to test them for the World Cup. Now, I have really liked what the Springboks have done in the last two games in making subtle changes to combinations, but that's just my opinion. Let's get into the reaction of the actual squad. So we can see there we've got Steven Ketshoff, Malcolm Marx, Frans Malherbe. How can you go wrong there, you know? And I love the fact that they've now made the decision that Malcolm Marx is a starting hooker and not an impact hooker. I'm glad that debate's over, because for me, like, a Malcolm Marx wasting a half with that guy not playing is just silly. So gonna be really good to see him this weekend, because he's just such a phenomenal player with such an impact, you know. We saw in the last game again, over the ball, not long and you'll find Mark somewhere over a ball, and that's just his jackling abilities is amazing, and not to even talk about the standard hooker duties that he's so good at. Frans Malherbe, the same thing, such a scrummager, and I'm curious to see with him and Kitshoff, two really strong front back there, how New Zealand will fare when they come up against, you know, a real challenge up front when it comes to the scrum, because I think this is probably the best front pack I've seen in a while that will be running out against the All Blacks. Then going into those lock positions, Eben Etzebeth back in. Glad to see the guy back in that jersey. And then you might say, but why Franco Mostert? Well, very, very clever decision here from Ninaba, I think, because if you think about it, Mostert might in this World Cup have to step in on that lock position, because he is the utility forward that can jump between lock and loose forward. So they might use him more on lock, and good to give him some game time there again. He has played for the Springboks there, so nothing new to him, but it will be good to see how he goes there. I don't think it's a big deal for me. He's still not obviously first choice for me at lock, but I mean, with John Klein and Argees Snyman both on the bench, who minds? You know, you really don't mind if Franco Mostert starts. You had such good impact guys coming up. So, you know, even just from a front back point of view, they're going again with a 6-2 split. You know, you've got Bongi and Bunambi on the bench. You've got Oxenche and Trevor Nyakane. So your front three, 1, 2, 3 can all be replaced. So you got that bomb squad coming up with the 3 forwards and the 2 locks coming up, and then obviously when you're going loose forwards, playing Sia Kolisi again. Very glad for that. Sia has just walked back into this team, and it seems like the guy never stopped playing, and he went through serious surgery. I hope he picks up on that, and I hope there's no risks of any injury. He is, you know, if anyone ever had doubt if that guy deserves his position in this team, I think he's just, you know, silenced anyone who ever had doubts there. And just his impact as a captain, he cemented himself as that captain for the Springboks you want to be the first option. So really good to see him there as well. And then Pieter-Steph du Toit, Dwayne Vermeulen. Pieter-Steph du Toit had an outstanding game last week. Intercept, scoring tries, and just all over the field. Such a workhorse, hard worker. And yeah, fabulous game. You also feel that Pieter-Steph du Toit, I would say in the last 2 games, have really found form. And he's looking like the player of the year of 2019. He's starting to find that kind of form again. So again, really good. I like the Springboks are playing the same guys over and over. Let them start gaining their form. You know, we want to see Etzebeth gain some form. He has been in and out for a while. We want to see Dwayne Vermeulen pick up on his form. We want to see him there again. Faf de Klerk on 9 then coming in. Again, you know, Faf have had a few games where he didn't play because they're experimenting with all these combinations. But Faf again there, we want to see that guy start getting some form. He needs to get game time. So I like the fact that they're getting Faf in there. I'd be curious to see if they're going to actually use him to kick to the posts from time to time, to also give him some kicking responsibilities, that if they are struggling with Mani Libbok with the kicking duties, that they can give it over to Faf, because they reckon Faf is the guy that they're looking at that could even go into a 10 position. So I would like to see if Faf will be doing a lot more of the kicking, or if they'll keep it with Mani. In the one sense, I do have to say I think Mani's got to keep it because they need to put him under pressure, and I think Mani will come good with time. I just don't think Mani's had enough pressured games for the Springboks in that 10 jersey, having to do place kicking to the poles. But I think he will probably improve. But it's good also then maybe to give Faf a few kicks there, so that Faf's also good if something happens to Mani. You know, you never know. Faf's also there, you know, because none of us know what's happening with Pollard. And to all of you that say, oh, don't talk about Pollard. How can we not talk about this? We have to talk about it. It's 1 week away from the World Cup. If the Springboks don't get an injury, Pollard can't go to the World Cup. Unless they're going to want to tell one of these players, which Jock Ninaba already said he won't do. They have to tell one of these players to pretend that they can't make it and they're stepping down. How can you expect that from any player? I don't think they're going to do that. So they're literally going to go to the World Cup without Pollard if there's not an injury somewhere this weekend, which no one wants. And if it happens, then obviously things can change for them. But also if it happens with any of the front pack, they will not use Pollard. They've said that they will bring someone else in. So it's got to be anyone from the locks downwards that needs to get injured for Pollard to get his run. Otherwise, you got to think ahead. You got to say, okay, Pollard's not in the squad. Mani Libbok, what happens if he gets an injury, guys? They want to put Faf in there. Let Faf kick to the post. Let Faf get some time in there. Or are they going to put Damien in there? Let Damien kick more to the posts and also get some time in there. Let's see. Because Damien, they've played at 15 this week. I also like that. Damien Willems is a natural 15. And I like the fact that they're kind of keeping Willie on the bench a bit. Give Damien some game time there at 15, because that is where I think he's specialized. And he's really, really dangerous in 15, you know. He injects some pace into that backline. And I think for him, playing with that from deep is very good, with his stepping and the way he likes to run. So it's good to see Damien for me at 15. And then your wingers being Makazolo Mampimpi and Kurt Lee Arendse. Going this week for the other two again, I can't fault that, guys. Give the guys game time. The other two, wingers we know are in form. Colby maybe not shown full form, but you know he's going to be good for it. And then Kainan Moody now moving to the centre position, giving Kurt Lee Arendse the position on wing. And I like the way they think. I didn't expect this to happen just before the World Cup. I don't mind this much, guys, because it's not, to me, a very silly decision. You know, we saw this with Peterson in a few years back in one of the World Cups. We saw Peterson that used to play wing step into a centre position and did pretty well. JP Peterson. They're doing the same here with Kainan Moody, taking that risk. JP Peterson was also super young. They used him around that time, moving him to centre. Here we see Kainan Moody, same story, moving him into that 13. And I don't know, man, there's an X factor around Kainan Moody and his total game that makes me think this guy could be a really good 13, you know. And then I like the fact that they're also putting Andre Esterhuizen at 12. Damian Delilindi has not had the form that we know him as, and I think he will also come good. But it's really good to have Andre Esterhuizen there at 12 because he's been in form. I really rate the guy, and I think he's such a good defender. His defense is superb. And with the dangers that the All Blacks bring in the back line, I think you really need a solid inside centre to kind of like to try and shut them down, because we know how dangerous the All Blacks are with ball in hand, and if they play from some depth, there's danger. So if they're going to want to use the rush defense, you need really good tacklers with the umbrella, press defense. If they're going to be able to get this right, Andre Esterhuizen could be instrumental and put in some huge tackles, So that's going to be interesting to see. Then we got, that's basically the team starting. I like it, guys. I don't mind Canan Moody at 13. Just think about what you're saying there. You're looking at a Libbok that's a real running 10. Then you're looking at Esterhuizen that's been pretty good and solid and strong in that 12th position. And then you've got blinding pace. It's almost like similar to what I can say with New Zealand with Rico Ioane. Canan Moody with amazing skill, and his mate Kurtley Arendse right next to him. And on the other side, you've got Mapimpi right next to him. If this guy with his pace can, have some line breaks and get those balls out to those wingers, we might see a different thing happen this weekend, in this game between the All Blacks and the Springboks. Then, just looking at the bench there, then also we've got Kobus Reinig, which hasn't had enough game time for me, I think. He played pretty well. I think it was against Argentina. He's always been good in those Argentina games, but I want to see him under the more pressured game. So it'll be good to see Kobus Reinig. We know how good he is in the top 14. This is a quality player. So it's good that they're also giving that guy some game time. And then lastly, Willie Leroux. Say no more. He was brilliant in the last game. He's quiet all criticism of late due to playing just outstanding rugby. I think that's this team with the substitutes that can come on. It's a really, really good team, guys. You cannot fault this team and say it's not a good team. My opinions, guys, on this game. Well, I think if we look at the pros, I think from a Springbok perspective, I think they're going to go out this week and try and run the All Blacks, which, again, I don't know if they can pull it off, if they dare yet. I think I see them improve in their running type game and their more expansive type game every time they play, especially since they got their combination right. I'd say in the last two games, they're starting to play more expansive game, more running type game, almost like they did in the game against Australia in the Rugby Championship. And if they can get that right against the All Blacks, then you're kind of fighting fire with fire. Then you could see a phenomenal game this weekend, and that could be amazing to watch. If that doesn't work, because we know Manie Libbok's that up front type running fly off as well, that can, get those balls out wide. You can see the space. He's good for that. But that is only if the Springboks can dominate up front. If the Springboks, and it's not going to be easy to dominate the All Blacks, I don't think that's going to be possible. But let's say they just have that edge, up front. When I'm saying up front, I'm saying, over those, loose balls, over there first, getting clean, quick ball out. Maybe not as quick with Faf, but we know Kobus moves it quicker. Faf will probably try some of the kicks. But getting good forward ball, that backline can be really, really dangerous that they have here this week. And even the substitutes. They really have a dangerous backline here. So if the forwards can do the same as what they have done in the last game against Wales, which would never be as easy against the All Blacks. We know that. But if they can get half of that right, what they did against the Wales, and be able to release this backline, it's going to be interesting to see how the defense of the All Blacks can cope with that, because I don't know how much they have been challenged in the backline of late. We know Australia, they know them very, very well. But they haven't played that much Northern Hemisphere this year, and then obviously the Springboks also just... I don't know if the Springboks, I can say, have shown the form that they're starting to show in the backs right now, and I think their decisions are getting better. So that's going to be I think the pro part is if they can get good front football and run it, excuse me, then I think it's going to be a competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a runaway game against the All Blacks. I just don't see that ever happening at the moment in the current situation with the All Blacks form. But I see a competitive game. On the other side, that was my phone. Siri trying to ask me if they can help me. I'm here. Okay. I don't need you, Siri. But then on the other side, if the Springboks are under pressure and the All Blacks are doing those, getting them on the back foot with those little kicks across, exposing the space of the rush defense, getting those kicks across, getting the kicks into the corners, and you've got if they're going to play their full team and you've got a Mohanga there, you've got the Barretts there, and you've got those little kicks coming through, and the Springboks on the back foot. My question still is, can Manie Libbok take control of that game and then start doing the same, start getting some kicks in there, and then obviously the contestable ball for Faf de Klerk putting up the kicking. Can the Springboks start retrieving those contestable balls? We know Kanan Moody is really good under those high balls. You know, we can't say that Kurtley Arendse is too bad. Mapimpi is decent. But that's the question. Then, are they going to be able to play under pressure and still produce? Because if it comes down to that, where the Springboks need to default back to old Springbok type rugby, which is scoreboard pressure, beat the other teams up front, get penalties, get lineouts, try and do rolling balls, and then push for penalties and build scoreboard pressure, which then Pollard would usually convert for the most part, or Yankees. Can Manie Libbok do it this week? Can he convert those points? Jacques Nienaber don't seem to be concerned. I've got my questions. The funny thing about Manie Libbok is he puts the easy ones, he misses the easy ones and puts the hard ones over. But it's not good enough, because at the end of the day he sits with a 50% to 60% success rate, which is not good enough, because there might only be 3 points in this game. If it goes that way, it could be just that the Springboks fall short because of their place kicking. So what's my prediction? Well, guys, you know I'm a Springbok supporter, but I'm also a huge lover of All Blacks rugby. I live in New Zealand. I don't know, man. I've got this feeling, and I might be wrong. I'm going to say Springboks. I've got a feeling that the Springboks are going to try and look at running this game. And I don't know why, but I feel that the forward pack will also still do their job. But I've got a feeling something's going to click this week for the Springboks. I might be wrong, but this is what I'm going by what I feel might happen in this game. Is that a good thing for the Springboks? I don't know. I don't know if them going into the World Cup against Scotland, which is very, very dangerous, and they worry me because of their running type game as well with the Springboks rush defense. Do you want them to win just before that game? Because almost when you think if they have to go down with a loss, the Springboks, a wounded Springboks on the back foot, while Springboks with their back against the wall, that's probably the best Springbok to go into a World Cup. So I don't know if it's a good thing. But if they lose this game, I think it's going to be due to place kicking issues. And of course, on the other side, we cannot take it away from the All Blacks. The All Blacks can just come out there and surprise us all again with just an outstanding game. It's just, again, like it always comes down to, guys. It's all emotional. Who wants it more? Who's got more to prove before this first game in the World Cup? And I think they both have a lot to prove, and they have a lot to kind of tick off, because Springboks against Scotland, you'd think should be the easier game, but with the last, say, 5 games, you up and down with the Springboks being up and down, you cannot say that they're going to beat Scotland. And the type of game Scotland's been playing, beating France, being in great form, you can't say Scotland cannot win that game. When it comes to the All Blacks and France, the All Blacks are up for a mammoth game against France. The opener, it's going to be packed. France is going to throw everything at it. It's a home game. It's a home World Cup. They wouldn't want to lose their first one. So for the All Blacks, will be up against it. So for the All Blacks, I think it will be just as imperative to go out this week put their best team on the field and win this game, so they go into that with confidence to say, we just beat the Springboks. We're definitely ready to take France. And that's what I think would be the mindset of both teams. Obviously, me as a Springbok supporter, like I've said to you before, maybe a little bit biased, but I don't know. There's a feeling for me around this game where I feel the Springboks might just start clicking, because they are now sticking to a lot of the core being the same. They might move players around here and there, but they're playing top of the same team, and these guys are starting to build form, and it is looking good for me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, and it was just a really good game because it was against Wales. Maybe against the tougher opponents, we see what we've seen before, just not enough, because that's what we've seen before. But we will see this weekend. I'm going to go Springboks by 4 points. I'll go Springboks by 4 points. Let's go and enjoy this week's game. I know we've got a common respect for each other, and we all just want to see good rugby. This is what we love. This is the entertainment of the game. And man, what's ahead? This great clash, and then World Cup. And I'm so excited to do this all with you. If you want to take this journey with me, be part of my community, hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers, and I thank each of you that have subscribed. Catch you in the next one. Bye.